It is the first PFL Championship card here of 2025, as we are going to be crowning a welterweight champion and a featherweight champion this year for the PFL. We've got 10 fights in total for this card on Friday night from Atlantic City, New Jersey. The main event for the welterweight championship, the silverback Thad Jean takes on the former interim Bellator champion Logan Storley, and at featherweight we've got two former champions going at it, Jesus Pinedo and Khaybulaev. Someone has to take their first L in many years with this bout. So a great card, and really headlined by great fights here for the Professional Fighters League in Atlantic City. And before we get into the video, folks, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more UFC and PFL content here on the channel. Yesterday we posted our UFC Fight Night predictions. Now I'm recording this video on late Sunday night, and I think the UFC card's going to be Hyun-Sung Park versus Tetsuya Taira. If it's not, well, there's probably already been an update on the channel. So anyways, go make sure to check out our UFC predictions, link in the description down below. Our best bets for the UFC, I think I'm going to do on Thursday this week, just because everything got pushed back a day for me because we didn't know who was main eventing that card. So best bets probably on Thursday. Again, if it's tomorrow, if it's not on Wednesday instead, there's going to be a channel post about it probably. Anyways, folks, make sure that subscribe button down below for more. Go make sure to check out the main channel. Greedo plays daily MLB best bets, NFL, NBA, college basketball, college football, coming real soon. Okay, on to the first of our 10 fights tonight, kicking things off with a matchup. And hey, we have odds this week, all right? Going in the right direction here at the Professional Fighters League for this card. We kick things off in the featherweight division. Matt Turnbull takes on Tom Pagliarulo. I'm going to go with the Haverhill, Massachusetts native in Tom Pagliarulo. Probably butchering that, but I'm going to go with Tom to win the fight. 9-2 fighter coming into this one, coming off 3 consecutive victories, and one of those wins they win over Don Shainis. Now, I know Shainis is not the highest level of guy, but at least he wasn't the highest level guy in the UFC. Shainis was a fighter who went 0-2 in the UFC, lost to Sodiq Yusuff and Jack Jenkins. Tom is coming off of a first-round knockout victory over Shainis. Now, the Cage Titans and Combat Zone promotions are just, they're odd. I've been through this quite a bit with Northeastern and really that New England region of regional MMA, all right? It's not good, okay? We've been over it before. I don't know off the top of my head. I believe Combat Zone, I think Cage Titans is the one that Cater owns, and Combat Zone's just another one. If it's not that, it's the other way around. Anyways, one of those promotions is completely set up. I think it's Combat Zone. It's definitely Combat Zone, because I'm looking at the guys Tom has fought in Combat Zone. Yeah, it's set up just for certain guys to win. Look at Tom's fights that he's had in Combat Zone. Win over a 6-11 fighter, 2-9 fighter, 2-2 fighter. He goes to Cage Titans, though, he has to fight Don Shainis. He beats Don Shainis, but Combat Zone is really just set up for guys who are trying to make their way up the rankings or make their way up the regional scene to just beat up on low-level guys. That's all Combat Zone is for the most part. So I don't love that out of Tom. He's taking on Matt Turnbull, who's 9-6, and ultimately the reason why I'm taking Tom Pagliarulo to win the fight is just because Turnbull's lost 6 times. He's 30 years of age, you've lost 6 times, you get beat on the ground in a lot of fights that you have. And sure, Tom's going to want to strike. He is primarily a striker, but Matt Turnbull's a guy who's going to get put on his back. He does have submissions in his own right, but it's the Charles Rosa effect, right? If you're, a decent grappler, but not as good as, or if you can out-grapple him, you're going to beat him. Or you can get out-struck too. I didn't phrase that the right way. Charles Rosa in his fights in the UFC, when he was the superior grappler, he'd win because he could, kind of choose where the fight got to end up. And normally he would try to ride it out on top positioning. When he wasn't the better grappler, he got put on his back. Or when he just fought a striker, he'd lose. So it was very rare for Charles Rosa to look really good in the UFC. I'm trying to say that that's kind of what's going to happen to Matt Turnbull here. I expect a striking battle for the most part. Don't get me wrong. I am not sold at all on the -620 favorite. He should be nowhere near that mark because of the fights he's been set up to win. I do think he's going to win this one, though. He's taking on a grappler who's not that great. I'm going to take Pagliarulo to win the fight by first round at TKO over Matt Turnbull. We move on to the featherweight division, another huge favorite here, and that's PFL undercards. But we have got Isaiah Diggs taking on Damian Nelson. Nelson coming back out for his second PFL outing, taking on the huge favorite in Isaiah Diggs, who is undefeated. For Damian Nelson, the Jamaican-American, training out of Serra-Longo, obviously, over on Long Island, New York, on a 4-fight winning streak, and does hold a win in the Combat Zone promotion over Don Shainis went out there and knocked out Shainis in the third round. We have seen TKO Don Shainis in the third round. We've seen Damian Nelson before in the PFL. He lost a unanimous decision back in August of 2023 to Nathan Kelly. This is a guy, though, that has an 8-4 record at one point in time. That record was 4-4, but again, 4 straight victories to get him to this point. I don't know. Coming off a win in Combat FC, 4th round TKO finish to win the CFC, not CFFC, the Combat Fighting Championship. But Isaiah Diggs, a 5-0 guy, a guy who's going to go out there, he's going to put on the wrestling boots, and he's going to give you problems, obviously. The striking is evolving as well. Just a better fighter is Isaiah Diggs. And you can kind of tell, and this is what, you get from a lot of these PFL undercard fights. The guys that the PFL wants to win, they'll book them against, regional talents like Damian Nelson, who's been there, had a bunch of fights, hasn't always been successful in those bouts. It's just very clear sometimes who the promotion is backing, and it is very clear that it is Isaiah Diggs. He's a huge favorite coming to this one. He's 5-0, and you can just tell by how he's been built up prior to the PFL. This is a guy who's only fought in Fury, with the exception of 1 fight so far in his pro career. He's had 4 fights in Fury, won all 4 of those by unanimous decision, most of them 30-27s. It was undefeated as an amateur as well, went 6-0. It just kind of makes sense where this fight's going to go as well. Damian Nelson's a guy who will struggle on the ground some, and I do think this fight is really just made out for Isaiah Diggs to win. He's 28 years of age, an undefeated guy. I'm not telling you he's going to be a world champion, but I do feel like this is the type of guy that the PFL is trying to push a little bit. They're going to try to keep him on these big undercards and, eventually pile up a decent enough record. I mean, they tried it with Baggio Ali Walsh. Obviously, he just lost his last fight, but we've seen this before at the PFL. They book, these up-and-coming guys against guys they know they can easily beat. And I think that's what's going to happen right now. I'm going to go Isaiah Diggs to beat Damian Nelson. I believe he's going to be able to get it done by unanimous decision. We move on now to the welterweight division. We have got 2 PFL vets, Sarek Shields and Nick Meck. A good one in the welterweight division. Sarek Shields coming off a unanimous decision victory less than a month ago, or about a month ago, over Joseph Luciano. And I got to give the PFL credit for this. A lot of their guys take, short layoffs because of their pacing of their cards. And I don't know what entirely they're going to do post the championship cards. And that's a whole other story. Like, the PFL season, at least in America, is over in 4 weeks. I assume there's going to be more Champion Series, super fight cards, but they have nothing scheduled, at least in America, from September to January. I just don't know what the plan is. We'll see. Anyways, Sarek Shields last fought in June, so I guess that's about like 6 weeks ago, but still beat Joseph Luciano by unanimous decision. Did not expect him to go out there and get that win. Luciano was, fought Logan Storley earlier in the season, and Sarek Shields goes in there and beats him by unanimous decision. I'm impressed with Shields. This is a really good grappler who can go out there and really outgrind you throughout the entire fight. And for Nick Meck, this is a guy with a huge finish in his own right. A win, and he actually got a finish, submits Alan Dominguez by first round rear naked choke back on that same card, I believe. No, week after, but still, that's late June as well, where he goes out there and submits Alan Dominguez with the rear naked choke. Both guys are going to look to grapple. I think on the feet, striking-wise, I think they're kind of even. I would probably go with Nick Meck. I mean, I look at what Sarek Shields has done, right? Pretty good body of work, 7-2. His only losses, though, are KO losses. A flying knee knockout back in LFA back in December of 2023, and then lost to Thad Jean by knockout back in LFA in April of 2022. For Nick Meck, right, this is a 9-2 fighter, with the 2 losses being to Kevin Peace and JP St. Louis, both of which, though, by decision. The Peace loss over in the PFL back in 2024, and the St. Louis loss back in CFFC again by majority decision. I am split on this one, but I am going to go with Sarek Shields, and here's why. I do believe Sarek Shields is the better wrestler. Again, I know, that's what Nick Meck does. Sarek Shields does the same exact thing, and basically you can base this fight around who you think's going to outmanhandle the other. I guess that was an odd way of putting it, but whoever you think's the superior wrestler is probably going to win. We don't have odds for this fight, so I don't know, how to put that. I believe Sarek Shields will be a slight favorite because of the win over Joshua Luciano, and ultimately, that's how I kind of take this fight. Okay, Sarek Shields coming off a Luciano win. That's impressive. Nick Meck beating Alan Dominguez. Again, I'm impressed by the finish, but Alan Dominguez is an 11-6 fighter, 11-6 fighter that, that's not the most impressive feat, And Meck lost to Kevin Peace, who is undefeated, but we haven't seen Kevin Peace since the Nick Meck victory. I don't know. And Sarek Shields, the only thing that stopped him so far in professional MMA has been the knockout, right? In any fight, all of his wins, he's been able to go out there and wrestle. I know Nick Meck is a wrestler in his own right, but I do believe Derek Shields will be able to go out there and implement his game better than Nick Meck will be able to do. And at the same time, I don't believe there is a threat of Derek Shields getting knocked out in this fight against Meck. I think he's going to be all right. I think he's in the clear. Nick Meck, I don't think has a knockout finish. He's got one all the way back, I guess in March of 2024. But he's got one knockout finish. Again, that's been the one thing holding Derek Shields from being undefeated at this point, has been the striking game. I do believe he's going to be able to go out there and wrestle. Derek Shields has been the better wrestler in every single fight that he's had so far in his professional MMA career, and I don't think anything here is going to be different. Again, a loss to Adjoudj and a flying knee knockout back in 2023 doesn't disqualify you from being a good fighter. I'm going Derek Shields to beat Nick Meck by unanimous decision. We move on to the featherweight division. We've got Nathan Kelly taking on Frédéric Dupras. Again, two guys who fought in the season this year at 145 pounds, both of which were first round exits. For Nathan Kelly, he got a chance to take on Tae-Kyun Kim. It was after Kelly had lost to Ahmed Magomedov in the Champion Series. Loses to Magomedov, then gets the fight against Tae-Kyun Kim, who eventually got eliminated by Movlid Khaybulaev, who's obviously fighting in the co-main event for the championship on this card. But Nathan Kelly went out there and got subbed in the first round by Tae-Kyun Kim, and then since then I have wondered, is the Nathan Kelly experiment over? SBG Ireland guy, you know how much Bellator and the PFL love SBG Ireland. They always look to book guys from that gym, obviously. The John Kavanagh connection, and just in hopes that Conor shows up to their cards. That's neither here or there, but still, I have wondered, is the Nathan Kelly experiment over? Because they really protected him in their booking, right? We mentioned it with Baggio Ali Walsh. I don't know, right, if Isaiah Diggs, who's earlier on this card, is going to get that same treatment because he's not as exciting as these guys are, but still, right? It felt like the experiment was over when they threw him to the wolves against Ahmed Magomedov, right? Underdog in that fight, Magomedov subs him. They give him Tae-Kyun Kim, though. They put him back in the season. They say, all right, go out and try to beat this guy. And he gets out grappled by Kim. I don't know how good Frédéric Dupras is, though. Like, obviously, I've watched Dupras fight. But really, the only fights that he's had against, somewhat comparable competition that we can, compare other guys to are the Jesse Arnett win and the Gabriel Braga fight. But Jesse Arnett, not the highest level of guy. He's a guy who's been around UAE Warriors, had his trilogy with Ali Al-Casey, who's a former UFC name, ended up losing the trilogy. But anyways, right, Arnett fought Dupras, and Dupras subbed him in the second round with the guillotine choke. Then Dupras went on to fight Gabriel Braga. He gets a chance in the tournament, and Braga subs him in the first round. So we've got two guys in this fight, and this is the weird thing. You get two guys in this fight who are known for being grapplers, and both of them got subbed in the first round in their first fight this year in the PFL season. And now they're fighting each other. We get a -120 favorite for Nathan Kelly, +100 coming back for Frédéric Dupras. I believe that's the right odds for this fight. But it's weird. It's really weird, right? Two grapplers who both just got subbed. Hear me out, I'm going Nathan Kelly. I don't think Nathan Kelly's as one-dimensional as Frédéric Dupras is. I don't know if we see this fight hit the ground, because if it does, I think Dupras might be better. I think Dupras is better. But I do think the fact that, okay, Kelly can be competitive on the feet. Because I've seen Nathan Kelly go out there and at least hold his own in the striking game, right? Albeit against the best competition, no. But I've seen him hold his own in that regard. Frédéric Dupras is purely a grappler. He does not really strike that well. And a lot of his subs are submissions that he will kind of just pull. Guillotine chokes, anacondas are impressive, but a lot of his subs are guillotines. And that's catching guys on the way in, which, again, Nathan Kelly is going to have to watch out for that, obviously, if he does look to grapple at all in this fight or wrestle in this fight. You got to watch your neck. It's the Saeed Nurmagomedov special, obviously, that we saw last week or a couple of days ago against Bryce Mitchell in Abu Dhabi. But I think on the feet, yeah, Nathan Kelly's a better fighter. And on the ground, too, like, Dupras is he's very defensive-minded of sorts in terms of, okay, a lot of his attacks are because, okay, Nathan Kelly's shooting, Nathan Kelly's seeing some success, so Dupras has to, defend a takedown with the guillotine choke. And he's got a good squeeze. It's like Saeed Nurmagomedov too, right? If you shoot on Saeed Nurmagomedov, or he's able to, from standing, pull the guillotine choke if he needs to, and try to bring the fight down to the ground. I just think Nathan Kelly's a good enough striker to avoid that. At the same time, too, I believe Nathan Kelly's going to go out there and outstrike Frédéric Dupras, because I think that's where this fight's going to end up most, because Dupras, not the best offensive wrestler. Nathan Kelly just kind of has to stuff some takedowns, keep the fight standing, and ultimately, I believe SBG Ireland's guy is going to win. Again, is the experiment over? I don't know, but I believe Nathan Kelly's going to go out here and beat Frédéric Dupois by unanimous decision. Let's move on to the lightweight division, as we've got a matchup here between, I know you can't see the names, Hussein Kadimagomaev, Magomaev, and Kyle Driscoll. Okay, Hussein Kadimagomaev isn't as good as you think he is. He's really not. This is an 11-1 fighter who fought on the PFL Super Fight card in October of 2024 as a minus 1,200 favorite. He fought Zafar Mohsen. He loses the fight by unanimous decision as a minus 1,200 favorite. Oh. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. I don't care what Zafar is. I don't care that Zafar missed weight, or not missed weight. I don't care that he popped for roids. And again, yes, obviously popping for steroids is going to affect your ability to, or is going to, negatively affect your opponent's ability to win the fight. 100% it is. You cannot, as a minus 1,200 favorite, lose that fight. You can't. Kadimagomaev gets put on his back late in the fight and continuously put on his back to the point where he ultimately loses the decision because he can't stuff a takedown and because he can't get off his back. I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Again, Mohsen got popped for roids. It is what it is. If you're a minus 1,200 favorite, there should be no steroid in the world that should stop you from winning that fight. And also, it's not like he got knocked out. It's not like he got chinned. And sure, you can make the case, oh, the guy's just stronger wrestling-wise. That's fair. That isn't, Kadimagomaev, he tired at the end of the fight. He was put on his back at the end of the fight. I just don't like that result. I just don't. And I think partially his name is why he's such a big favorite in this fight. I don't think in no world he should be a minus 185 favorite. This should be a pick'em. Hussein's also lost to Taekyun Kim, who just lost to Khaybulaev, obviously, beat Nathan Kelly. Taekyun Kim stuffed takedowns, eventually wore him out and finished him in the third round. Kadimagomaev is going to be taking on Kyle Driscoll, the American who has fought on the Contender Series before, won actually on Dana White's Contender Series, but coming off of fighting 3 fights in Cage Warriors, beating Joshua Jones, losing to George Hardwick, which no shame in that, losing the championship rounds against a really good fighter, and beating James Lynch in his last fight. Driscoll did fight on the Contender back in 2020, beat Denise Paiva, who was 13-7 at the time, won the fight by unanimous decision, never got the call over to the UFC. Here he is now. I think Driscoll's going to outlast Hussein in this fight. If Driscoll's able to survive early in this fight, I do believe he's going to win. And I believe he's going to get a finish. I'm going third round TKO for Kyle Driscoll because Kadimagomaev has shown me nothing to prove that he is going to be able to sustain late in fights. Also, Hussein kind of got bullied in his last fight. I get it. The guy was on roids. Well, he's going up to 155 now, which you can make the case, oh, his gas tank's going to be better. Sure. But you're going up now after getting manhandled? I don't like it. Driscoll's a way bigger guy. Driscoll's 5'11". Hussein's 5'8". I don't like it at all for Hussein. I think Driscoll, if he's able to stuff takedowns, if he's able to keep the fight standing, he should be able to win. Because I think, right, Kadimagomaev is going to shoot for takedowns. Because I think Driscoll's going to be the better striker. Nothing has proven me that Hussein's a better striker than Kyle Driscoll. And late in fights, he slows down. His record's extremely padded. He hasn't beaten anybody good. Kyle Driscoll, I know the guy he fought in the Contender wasn't the best, but he's won the Contender Series. He went 4 rounds with George Hardwick. He's won multiple fights in Cage Warriors. Everything for me screams that Kyle Driscoll is winning this fight, and we get it at amazing value as well. Kyle Driscoll in this fight is a plus 155 underdog. Absolutely love it. He has shown he can go late in fights and be successful. He's a better striker, I think. Yes, I believe that. And if he's able to stuff some takedowns, he's going to win. I'm going with Kyle Driscoll here. I think, again, the reason why 88% of people are picking Hussein to win on Tapology is because of the last name, and it ends with Magomaev. That's great. Magomaev, awesome. Watch his last fight. Sure, the guy was on roids. You can't lose as a minus 1,200 favorite and expect me to take you seriously anymore. I'm going Kyle Driscoll to win the fight by third round TKO, and sure, the fight's now a no contest. Don't care. You lost. Okay? It's like when Nicholas Dalby lost to Jesse Ronson in the Apex. It's like, all right, well, this Dalby run we know is fraudulent. You lost to Jesse Ronson. I don't care that he popped for roids. You can't lose to Jesse Ronson. Same type of beat. Give me Kyle Driscoll by third round TKO. All right, let's move on now to our featured prelim, and a really good one. Jakub Kaszuba's back. All right, hey, okay. I was wondering where Kaszuba was. He has finally returned. He is a huge favorite and probably the biggest lock on the card. Sorry if I spoil this at all. We have got Jakub Kaszuba versus Sergio Cossio. I've been waiting for Kaszuba for a while, and I'm glad he's back. This is the PFL Europe champion from 2024. Completely dominated the field over there in 2024 and in 2023. Back-to-back champion. Beat John Mitchell in 2023. Beat Connor Hughes in 2024. And beat some good guys to win both those tournaments. Seriously. I mean, beat John Mitchell, beat Kane Musa, beat Daniel Scatizzi, beat Connor Hughes. It's a really good run that he put together. Like, quietly, Jakub Kaszuba is PFL Europe's version of Olivier Aubin-Mercier. Just completely dominant, hasn't lost a fight, and I'm glad that he's finally now here fighting in America. I hope this is not his last fight of the year. I would like to see him fight on the PFL Europe Championships card later in the year in December just to get him back in the cage once more, because only one fight for this guy is kind of, it sucks because he usually fights 3 times a year. Last fight was in December of 2024. He outlasts Connor Hughes and eventually finishes Connor Hughes on the ground in the 4th round. Now you get Sergio Cossio. He's going to dominate Sergio Cossio. He is, okay? The wrestling alone at Kaszuba should be enough. And also the striking too. Like Kaszuba, wherever he wants to fight, he's going to win. I'm not too concerned. It's just how does he get it done? I believe it's by TKO, okay? I believe it's by TKO. Either he will win stand-up wise against Cossio, who's been knocked out 4 times. I know, again, Kaszuba doesn't always have the most one-punch knockout power. I don't think he's ever gone a one-punch knockout, at least that I have seen. It's usually, okay, an accumulation of damage. He's going to control you on the ground, or he's going to drop you. He's gonna get you down. He's just going to ground pound you to victory. Usually it's how Kaszuba wins, but Cossio has been knocked out 4 times in his career. He's got a lot of mileage on him. Doesn't have an age listed, so I don't know how old he is, but this is going to be walk number 39 into a professional MMA cage for Sergio Cossio. Don't like it. Somehow he beat Anthony Romero in 2024, which made no sense to me. But then Dedrick Sanders just knocked him out in the 1st round in his last fight. And that was about a year ago. Actually, it's going to be 364 days prior to this bout with Kaszuba. But anywhere Kaszuba wants it, he's going to win. I believe it's going to be a takedown and then ground and pound that wins it for Jakub Kaszuba. And I firmly believe that's going to be a 1st round TKO win for the Polish fighter. It's at catchweight 160, which is a little odd. It is. Kaszuba, I mean, he's a 155-pounder. I don't know who wanted this at 160. If I had to guess, it's Cossio. Because Cossio missed weight in his last fight against Dedrick Sanders. The fight was supposed to be a lightweight. He weighed in at 163. Who knows if he even makes the 160-pound allowance. But that's why it's at catchweight 160. It is what it is. I mean, this fight could be at 170, and I believe Kaszuba would still win. I'm going 1st round TKO for a really good fighter in Jakub Kaszuba, who should be fighting in an actual tournament next year in the PFL and not just stuck in no man's land that a lot of PFL fighters sometimes find themselves in. So really excited for Jakub Kaszuba. Glad he's back. 98% of voters are going with him on Tapology for good reason. Give me Jakub Kaszuba by 1st round TKO. Okay. Don't know why that's not on the main card. I don't understand. And why this is on the main card instead? Did we really need to see, actually now the biggest favorite on the card, Jordan Newman, fight Islam Abdul Baset? I didn't need to see this on the main card. Again, it doesn't matter. It's all on ESPN Plus anyway. You know, you're going to be able to go back-to-back here. Okay. I don't know why this is, though, getting the spot on the main card over a PFL Europe 2-time champion, but it's fine. Jordan Newman versus Islam Abdul Baset. Okay. Jordan Newman, undefeated 7-0. This is a former collegiate wrestler. Obviously, moved now to mixed martial arts. This is a guy who is trying to evolve his game, but a really good ground fighter who's going to try to take you down, going to try to, well, not even hold you down. He does chase finishes, and I got to give Jordan Newman a lot of credit. Out of his 7 victories, 4 of them are by finish, 3 of them by decision. His last fight, he win over Imashlifi Aliyev. Never figured out how to say his first name. He beats Aliyev by decision. Jordan Newman's a huge underdog. Did not expect him to go out there and win. He did more, though, than just wrestle. It was a stand-up fight for the most part, and Jordan Newman looked really good striking-wise. Originally, Newman was supposed to take on Khalid Mirzliatev. Fight didn't go through either time. He was booked at one point against Impuka Sanganai, but Fabian Edwards came back on the card. Anyways, here he is, and he's getting Islam Abdul Baset. Newman finally gets to fight here in the Professional Fighters League after fighting in Bellator in his first 7 bouts. Again, this is only right now a Bellator fighter as of now. Just one of these guys Bellator brought up, as they've done with a lot of collegiate wrestlers, where they just, give them easy fights, get them into mixed martial arts, and that's exactly what happened to Newman. Has shown a lot of, has shown a lot of urgency once he's in top positioning. Like, Newman will get takedowns, and he will, he'll feel a sense of urgency to get fights finished, as he's gotten multiple submissions and some TKO finishes in the crucifix as well. So I think Newman's solid. And again, in his last fight against Aliev showed an improved striking game as it has continued to, improve throughout his professional mixed martial arts career. That fight was back in September of 2024, though, against Aliev. He's now getting the Egyptian fighter in the Iron Man, Islam Abdul Baset. I just saw Mike Shipman last year destroy is kind of harsh, but beat Baset. Shipman knocks him out in the second round, and I was concerned about Abdul Baset going into that one, why I took Mike Shipman. He hadn't beaten anybody. He had fought in UAE Warriors, but he had fought a really padded record in UAE Warriors, fought in Brave, but never fought anybody good over there. Really a decision machine who wants to wrestle you, wants to get a hold of you. He's not going to do that against Jordan Newman. That's literally all Jordan Newman does, and that's what got him into mixed martial arts. I think Newman's going to really just dominate this bout. And for me, is it, okay, does Newman get a finish, or does this one go to the scorecards? I'm going to go scorecards, just because I think Baset does hold somewhat of knowledge in terms of wrestling and trying to stay off his back and trying to not get finished, okay? So I'm going to go with Jordan Newman to win the fight by unanimous decision, training out of a good gym over in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, obviously a Rufus sport. I think he'll dominate on the feet and on the ground. I think this just is another performance for Jordan Newman that shows us, okay, the skills and the progress he has made in his mixed martial arts abilities from his debut 8 fights ago. Give me Jordan Newman to beat Islam Abdul Baset. I'm going with Newman by unanimous decision. Okay, let's go on to our feature bout as we go to the featherweight division. 2 French fighters going at it. Adjoudj and Yves Landu go at it here. Adjoudj, 12 years younger than Landu in this fight. Landu about to turn 39, still 38. Adjoudj, 26 years of age. Adjoudj 9-1, Landu 21-9. Both these guys have put together pretty sizable win streaks going into this fight. Yes, Landu at 21-9 professionally, currently on a pretty big winning streak. His last loss came in October of 2021 to Tim Wilde. He's put together 5 in a row. Huge victory over Gavin Hughes. Won his last fight against Jonas Belanio by beating him by split decision. It beat Piotr Nildeski back at Bellator 296 in May of 2023 as well. And for Adjoudj, he is the favorite to win this fight for good reason, because he actually finishes fights, And Adjoudj is a pretty good striker. He is. He's got good stuff. And in his last fight, caught Jose Perez with a guillotine choke. Where I'm impressed with Asil, though, is the striking game. Caught Bruno Fontes with a right back in May of 2024. 3 straight victories in Bellator prior to that win against Fontes, over Liam McCracken, over George Sasu. Like, there are some impressive guys on the record that Adjoudj has beat coming into this fight. Landu, he's a vet. Don't get me wrong. I just think Adjoudj gets him here. Knockout's hard to pick, because Landu's only been knocked out once, and that was back in Ryzen in 2019. And again, he has put together a pretty good winning streak. He just hasn't fought anybody on the level, though, of Adjoudj just yet. I do expect this fight to stay on the feet for the most part. I think it will be up to Landu to shoot and try to change levels and change the trajectory of the bout. I don't think he's gonna try and be successful. I think Adjoudj will win a striking battle. I don't think he's gonna be able to get a finish, because again, Landu is a credible striker in his own right. He is defensively sound, and I think it is hard to put a guy like that away. But I do think we see I don't know if I want to call it striking masterpiece, but I do think we see just a striking performance put on display by Adjoudj. I think he's going to dominate in the striking realm, and I think he probably goes out here and wins this 30-27. Again, it is real telling when you get a guy in Adjoudj who's 26 years of age, just entering his prime from SBG Ireland, taking on a guy in Yves Landu who is about to turn 39 years of age, right? This is a guy training, I believe he's still in Thailand, right? Yeah, he's in Phuket. That's great. I think they're going to war right now, aren't they, over there? But anyways, not the French, not Landu, but yeah, you get what I mean. I don't hear 39. I think Adjoudj does everything better than Landu at this point in his career, and he's just entering his prime. So give me Adjoudj to win the fight by unanimous decision. We move on now to the co-main event, and now we get on to the championship bouts. Jesus Pinedo versus Movlid Khaybulaev. Okay, I've gone back and forth on this pick throughout the entire season, because for the most part, guys, we knew we were going to get here. This is the fight when the 8-man bracket was announced, and we saw that Movlid Khaybulaev and Jesus Pinedo were on opposite sides of the bracket. This is the fight that immediately we went, boom, this is the championship fight. Jesus Pinedo in the first round beats Adam Borch Really tough bout, but goes out there, well, at least on paper, goes there and knocks out Borch in the first, and then gets his trilogy bout against Gabriel Braga. He lost the first, beat Braga the second time. He knocks out Braga in 76 seconds in the trilogy bout. Wow. Movlid Khaybulaev's run has been tougher in terms of the actual fights. On paper, it should not have been tougher. He had the easier path. Gets Jeremy Kennedy in the first round, almost loses it. I thought Khaybulaev should have got the win, and he did. But man, he was in trouble early in that bout, got it together, ended up winning a split decision, and beat Tae-Kyun Kim in a pretty convincing fashion. But he was very expected to do that, as Khaybulaev was only a minus 225 favorite. Seriously? It's crazy. Anyways, Khaybulaev's never lost. He's 23-0-1, the one draw. Comes back all the way back in 2019 against Andre Harrison. He did lose to Daniel Pinedo, but we don't talk about that. Pinedo was all roided up back then in the PFL. So it is what it is. Khaybulaev, all things considered, is an undefeated fighter. This was the PFL champion back in 2021. Did not fight in 2022, 2023. Didn't make it to the playoffs because he got hurt or couldn't make it to the playoffs. Like, he qualified, obviously, but I don't know. Was supposed to fight Braga, never happened, and that's where we were supposed to get Khaybulaev versus Pinedo. And here we are, 2025. I've gone back and forth a lot. We know what Movlid's going to have to do. He's going to have to fight that gritty type of fight on the feet. He's going to have to be competitive enough in the striking game to the point where, okay, he can go out there and get a takedown and get Pinedo down in his world. For Jesus Pinedo, the game plan's simple. Knock this guy's head off. Originally, going into the season, I was still picking Movlid Khaybulaev to beat Jesus Pinedo, even though Pinedo's gone on a crazy run after losing his first fight in the PFL by split decision to Gabriel Braga. He knocks out Brandon Loughnane, knocks out Bubba Jenkins, knocks out Gabriel Braga, knocks out Adam Borch, and now knocks out Braga again. Going into the season, I was taking Movlid, but after watching both these guys' first two fights in the 2025 season, I have to go with Jesus Pinedo, and I have to take Jesus Pinedo by first round knockout. I do get a little concerned what happens after the first, because I know Movlid hasn't looked his best this year, but I do think in a championship-style fight, if it goes to the championship rounds, I do think Khaybulaev will probably see a lot of success, because he's used to going the distance. And a lot of Pinedo's fights, well, none of these go the distance for Pinedo. Pinedo hasn't made it to the final scorecard since that original PFL fight that he lost to Gabriel Braga in, right? Before that, his last decision fight prior to Braga was back in 2019 in the UFC when he lost to John McDessie, right? So I do get a little bit concerned if the fight does go past the second round. But the way Pinedo's been fighting, I would be surprised if the fight gets past the first, you know? And the way Movlid struggled with Jeremy Kennedy, the way Kennedy was teeing off on him early in the fight, yeah, if you let Jeremy Kennedy do that to you, Jesus Pinedo's probably knocking your lights out. So I am going to go with Jesus Pinedo by first round knockout. If the fight gets out of the second, though, I don't know. Movlid might win it. It's a 5-round fight. And Pinedo, who's been scheduled for a 5-round fight before, has max gone to a 5-minute round decision. Yeah. I think Jesus will win, though. He is so much bigger than Movlid Khaybulaev. I don't know how Jesus Pinedo makes 145 pounds. His future is definitely at 155 pounds. Like, maybe even next year. He's going to be 29, going on 30 next year. And Pinedo has missed 145 before, back in the playoffs, back in 2023 against Bubba Jenkins. Don't know how he got to advance because of that, but it is what it is. And also, we've seen good wrestlers try to fight Jesus Pinedo. Bubba Jenkins. No, Braga doesn't wrestle. Kinda. Braga can wrestle. But we've seen Bubba Jenkins fight him. Couldn't get him down. He's just too big. Movlid, again, like Bubba Jenkins, is going to be giving up a lot of size against Jesus Pinedo. Jesus Pinedo, guys, is 6 inches taller than Movlid Khaybulaev. At least on paper. I just don't know how Movlid's going to be able to close distance. And I don't know how Movlid's going to be able to see a lot of success in this bout. I'm going with Jesus Pinedo to win the fight by first round knockout to become a 2-time PFL world champion. Whoever wins it is going to become a 2-time champ. I think it's going to be the Peruvian, Jesus Pinedo. To the main event for the welterweight championship, Thad Gene, Logan Storley. Thad Gene has gotten all the promotional backing, okay? I have friends who don't even watch the PFL, only watch the UFC, and they have asked me about Thad Gene. That's how much the promotional backing is on Gene. They need, if he wins this fight, which probably will, they need to continue to push this guy to the moon. Because he is impressive, because of the power, and he's fun to watch. However, The reason why I got asked about Thaddean was actually the Berkomov fight, and not the Jason Jackson fight. But that's why they gave Thaddean the decision over Jason Jackson. I don't think he won the fight. I don't think he did. It was close. I leaned Jason Jackson slightly in that fight. I did. I'm not mad about it. I'm not calling it a robbery at all. I just thought Jason Jackson won. But then you think about it. Okay, we've seen this before at the PFL when Rory McDonald lost to, oh my goodness, I'm blanking on the top of my head. The guy who Gleipson Tebow. Like when Roy McDonald lost to Gleipson Tebow, so they could get the matchup with McDonald and, who was it? It was Ray Cooper in the playoffs. The PFL does, they get their way with scorecards sometimes. They just do. So Thaddean gets Jason Jackson, because Jason Jackson, Logan Storley, that's no money. Who cares? Like Jason Jackson would have beaten Logan Storley. He would have out-wrestled him. Even though Jason Jackson not looked great in his first 2 PFL fights, but he would look good enough, I think, to beat Storley. I'm here to tell you, Thaddean's going to knock out Logan Storley in the first round. Second? First. I'll get back to you in the round in a second. Probably first. Logan Storley's going to have to wrestle Thaddean, okay? My thing is, if Jason Jackson's not able to completely hold down and dominate Thaddean on the ground, then Logan Storley's not going to be able to do the same either. My point being, if Jason Jackson can't beat Thaddean, Logan Storley, who's just a lesser version of Jason Jackson, who's not as strong, not as physical, I don't want to go straight into, who's the better wrestler, but if those two things don't apply, which they don't to Logan Storley, how is he going to beat Thaddean? Seriously. And, Logan Storley's worse in the feet than Jason Jackson, by far. And he's giving up a lot of size to the silverback here. Here's my thing. Logan Storley, Shamil Musayev. Shamil Musayev's really good. He is. I don't know where that guy went. He's an undefeated fighter for the PFL. He won the world championship. He beat Magomed Umlatov, beat Ramazanov twice, beat Storley, and he disappeared. I don't know where that guy is. Why isn't he in this spot right now against Thaddean? Who knows? However, or why is he not fighting on the Champion Series? Nobody knows. However, look at that Shamil Musayev-Logan Storley fight. He's not able to take down Musayev, and he gets stuck in a striking range, and Musayev drops him 3 times. Eventually wins the fight 30 seconds into the second round. It's kind of like a mercy stoppage. All right, dude, you got dropped again. Like Muhammad over in the UFC, right? What Herzog should have done, by the way. Storley built back, though, right? He beat Luka Postlet. Great. Fights Joseph Luciano in his first fight this year in the tournament. Wins, beats Masayuki Karuki. Again, I'm sorry, this is a Mickey Mouse path, dude. I'm sorry, he was a minus 835 favorite to beat Karuki. I don't know how he beat Giannis Bashar, right? How did those guys get in the tourney? I remember seeing that fight when the tournament first happened. It was like, what? You couldn't find any better welterweights. Thaddean had to go through Jason Jackson. He was originally supposed to be an alternate going into this card, or going into this tournament. He has found himself now in the championship fight. He was supposed to take on Joseph Luciano initially. Both guys got moved in the tournament. Thaddean then beats Berkomov, knocks him out in the first round, which I thought was going to be a tough fight. I thought it was. I picked Gene to win, but I was like, I don't know, man. And then he beats Jason Jackson. Surprised me. He'll beat Logan Storley. Logan Storley won't be able to take Thaddean down, and I do think it's going to look kind of like the Musayev fight, only I think Thaddean's just going to stop him earlier. I don't think Logan Storley is going to see a lot of success wrestling Thaddean. Again, my main point being, and I know, Jason Jackson saw some success. Obviously, it wasn't enough. And sure, if we get a close scorecard like we did in the Thaddean-Jason Jackson fight, you and I both know where that fight's going. It's going to Thaddean. So if Jason Jackson's not able to beat Thaddean, well, Logan Storley's not going to be able to beat Thaddean. It's pretty simple to me, right? Jason Jackson, and I know MMA math doesn't always work like this, but Jason Jackson would beat Logan Storley easily at this point in his career. Still. Logan Storley can't beat Thaddean. He just can't. Thaddean's going to be so much bigger, too. Thaddean is, 6'1"? 6'2". Logan Storley's 5'9". He's going to be giving up so much range in terms of the striking battle. Thaddean will be first to the punch. Thaddean will be landing. He will be connecting, and a lot of what he's going to be connecting with is going to be power shots. I just don't like it at all for Logan Storley. I give the guy credit, right? I thought he was kind of done after the Shamil Musayev loss. I'll be honest with you, right? Lose to Yaroslav Amosov, beats Brennan Ward, then gets to the shot in the PFL, immediately gets knocked down and brutally destroyed by Musayev. Partially, that was just, okay, Musayev's really good and we didn't know it at the time, but I do give Storley credit. After fights like that, some guys never come back. He has worked himself back into an opportunity where he's getting a world championship fight against the up-and-coming star pushed by the PFL. I just don't think he's going to have enough to beat this champion as well. And in all fairness to Storley, if he loses here, all 4 of his losses will be world champions. Yaroslav Amosov twice, Shamil Musayev, and Thad Jean. Former interim champ. He's going to win over Michael Venom Page. Got to give him credit. But anyways, I'm going with the silverback. Thad Jean winning this fight from the Haiti. Now, I don't know if it's the Haiti. From Haiti. Training now out of Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Thad Jean, the silverback, wins the PFL Welterweight Championship. What a run, too. Berkamov, Jason Jackson, Logan Storley in 3 straight fights. So, folks, thank y'all for watching our PFL Championship #1 predictions with Thad Jean and Logan Storley in the main event. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. Make sure to leave a like if you did enjoy the video. Make sure to comment if you do disagree with any of the picks. We'll be back later in the week, probably on Thursday, for our UFC Best Bets. And we'll be back next week for more PFL action, 2 PFL Africa, and our UFC Fight Night full card predictions for Anthony Fluffy Hernandez and Romando Lidze. So, folks, thank y'all for watching. Make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for more. And Mamba forever.